Let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Orlando Pride Parade Grand Marshal was an 11-year-old trans girl. Over the weekend, Dempsey Jara became the youngest Grand Marshal in the history of Orlando's Come Out with Pride Parade. Her mother, Jaime Jara, a school teacher, beamed beside her on stage when the girl stood up to share a message while wearing a princess-style gown. She talked about the importance of being who she is in a world that wants to change her. Her message, though personal, touched everyone's heart as most trans youth and adults face the same obstacles every day. This was the 18th Orlando Pride Parade, which had a 2-hour procession of rainbow-adorned floats, pledging support for a community frustrated by a spate of hateful state legislation designed to erode the personal freedoms of LGBTQ+. The parade concluded with fireworks and performances by LaLa and Monet Exchange. Former Orlando State Representative Guillermo Smith, the first openly LGBTQ+ Latino legislature in Florida, also praised the event, calling it impressive and encouraging despite the Republican-led Legislature's animosity and hostility during the spring session. It's a great message, having a youth representation in the Pride Parade. I know, again, it's a big focus, of course, for us for Hollywood Pride. Last year we were fortunate to partner with Safe Schools South Florida, bringing a family-friendly Pride event, and also really making the youth a focus of the Pride event. So I'm happy to see that Orlando Pride did this because, again, the messaging and what's happening in Florida is really aimed at our youth, unfortunately. And, again, thankful we have organizations like Pride Lines and Safe Schools South Florida that are out there supporting the LGBTQ youth in our community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Brava Dempsey. I'm really sorry I missed this historic Orlando Pride. I've yet to attend an Orlando Pride, but I'm going to make an effort to do it one of these days.
Go ahead. You were talking about your few days at Pride Lines and how LGBT youth sort of stream right through. What are you hearing, and what does a story like this, how can you get this story to them so that it gives them a little hope?
Yeah, so tonight, actually, we have a group called, it's a binary group of young people who get together who, may not identify, maybe non-binary, may identify as trans. So we get them together for these circles where they come and talk and share their experiences. And these experiences like the Orlando Pride is what we talk about, the power of the speech of the young lady and her family and the support that they have. Unfortunately, not all young queer youth have supportive families. And some ways, Pride Lines becomes that supportive family, and the people that they meet at these circles, that these conversations that they have, become their family and their support system. So it's, we will continue to host these events for our young people. We've even talked, just in my short time at Pride Lines, of increasing what we do in a number of circles that we host at Pride Lines, and then doing some remote work at some of our satellite locations as well, because it's that important. We're just seeing a need. I've seen it so much in my short time there that it's just compelled me to want to do more to support these young people. It's also compelled me to want to do more. I'm a political science in my previous life of really wanting to get more involved with.
What haven't you done? That's another show. That's another show.
That's another show.
But you're awesome.
Yeah. So but I want to do a lot more advocacy and bring a lot more advocacy and support, for youth and really fighting against the devastating legislation that we've been seeing here in Florida.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I will say kudos to this beauty queen in her princess style gown. Also kudos to the parents who are just encouraging their child to be yourself despite how much backlash you will get. There is going to be an uphill battle for the rest of your life, but you will handle it with class and grace and more princess gowns. So I'm very proud of you. Thank you so much for participating in this.
And what makes this especially poignant is, as bad as we think we have it down here in South Florida, Orlando is really ground zero for all the vitriol coming out of Tallahassee. The governor came and has picked a fight with Disney that he is losing terribly. It's almost fun to watch if it wasn't so hate-driven, to be honest. But Orlando, they lost, Disney lost that, but they're fighting the governor. And then they gerrymandered Representative Carlos out of his seat in the last election. He went from like a +9 blue district, and he lost in a +2 red district. They are working so hard to get rid of us from the State House, from Disney, from the streets, from the public square, and that this happened in Orlando. amongst this terrible and I know trans and drag, not the same, and I'm not trying to conflate them, but in the middle of this attack on just expressing ourselves and being ourselves. And this girl gets up and stands up there. She doesn't just march in the parade. She doesn't blend in with the crowd. She stands out. You inspire me. And I'll be honest, when I first read this story, I almost teared up a little bit. I was like getting choked up because this person is such an inspiration. And there's nothing that Ron DeSantis or his fascist cronies in Tallahassee can do to shut her up. And she is going to be a model for a generation. And that just warms my heart to no end.